Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, South African prosecutors still have Oscar Pistorius in their sights. The paralympian was sentenced to more jail time for the murder of his girlfriend earlier this month, but some still feel strongly that he got off lightly. Also, Brit royalty and rock royalty add their voices to the calls that there is no global slacking off in the battle against AIDS. Prince Harry and Sir Elton John are amongst those pushing the point home on the final day of the International AIDS Summit in South Africa. And cooking up a storm in both his kitchen and online, 11-year-old Moroccan chef is being given 5-star ratings by his fans. It's a passion that's not easy to pursue for him, but he's savouring the chance given to him by his mother anyway. But first, Libyan officials say that a helicopter crash in which 3 French intelligence officers and 3 Libyans were killed happened on Sunday in Maghreb, south of Benghazi. They claim that the victims had been gathering information on IS group and Malian militants loyal to Nigeria's Boko Haram insurgency. Hundreds of protesters have demonstrated in Tripoli against France's involvement in the country. Acknowledging its soldiers' deaths was France's first confirmation that it has forces operating in eastern Libya. It's an embarrassing admission as troops are working alongside forces of General Khalifa Haftar, who is a bitter opponent of the UN-backed unity government based in Tripoli. Well, the 2016 International AIDS Conference wrapped up in Durban on Thursday, with Britain's Prince Harry and rock royalty Elton John adding their voices to warnings against complacency in the fight against the disease. It's the leading cause of adolescent death amongst Africans. Getting people to open up about the condition is still difficult. Despite difficult memories of how her mother's work with HIV led to her brutal killing, one activist is still helping others face the challenges associated with the illness. Nicholas Chemin has more.
Mandisa Dlamini paid tribute to her mother, who was beaten to death 18 years ago. She was killed after she said publicly that she had HIV. Her attackers said she had brought shame on the community.
I remember it was me and my mom's boyfriend. We went and we fetched my mom's body, and this is the spot where they left her.
Mandisa has turned her mother's home into a memorial. She has followed in her footsteps and become a women's rights and HIV/AIDS activist.
And 18 years later, coming back in that same house and welcoming the world to the house and telling them about my mom, what really took place and what happened. So you can imagine what it's like, to be reminded of this house and the pain that took place in this room.
South Africa now boasts the largest treatment program in the world, but visitors of the memorial say attitudes are changing slowly.
In this township, as a woman, if you're fat, they say you're on antiretroviral medication. But if you're slender, they say you're HIV positive. There's still stigma here.
People are always talking about HIV and AIDS. I don't think it should still be killing us, but I see a lot of young people are dying of HIV and AIDS.
Today, 6.8 million people are living with HIV in South Africa. That's more than in any other country in the world.
Well, South African prosecutors aren't yet done with Oscar Pistorius. They've said that they plan on appealing against the 6-year jail sentence the Paralympian was handed following his murder conviction earlier this month. Calling the term shockingly lenient, the national prosecuting authorities want him to be given a tougher punishment for the killing of his girlfriend, Reeva Steenkamp, in 2013. Pistorius has always argued that he shot her by accident and had initially been found guilty of manslaughter. That was until prosecutors appealed that as well. Well, Jane Flanagan joins us with more from South Africa. Jane, how likely is it that prosecutors will this time get the go-ahead to re-examine Pistorius's sentence?
Well, they're going to have to argue in front of Judge Masipa again. And Harry Nell, the prosecutor, known as the pit bull, and he really isn't going to let go of this particular case, he has to persuade Judge Masipa that her sentencing of 6 years was shockingly inappropriate, to the words that are the test, to see if the sentence should be re-examined. I think that Harry Nell is pursuing this matter because he wants to make sure that there is no precedent set in South Africa where 6 years is seen as a reasonable sentence for murder, which is more than half of statutory minimum of 15 years is. I think perhaps if Oscar Pistorius had been given 9 years, I think it probably wouldn't come to the point where it is now. But definitely, this case doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And I think that there isn't, and it doesn't feel like there's an enormous appetite to revisit this case yet again. But I think it is that legal precedent that Harry Nell is concerned about. Obviously, murder is a big issue in South Africa. We have a massive murder rate in this country, and I think he really doesn't want that to sit on the statute book as some sort of benchmark from which other defence lawyers could argue in the future.
Thanks very much. Jane Flanagan there for us in Cape Town. Now, Nigeria's military is saying that it's rescued around 80 children and women from Boko Haram militants. The army claims that the captives were freed by troops targeting Islamist fighters in the village of Gangare in Borno State. The extremists' 6-year insurgency has displaced hundreds of thousands of people in the northeast. Those staying in camps have few ways of distracting themselves from difficult conditions, uncertainty and trauma.
This camp is geared towards treating severe malnutrition. Khadija almost died of starvation but was brought back from the brink by nurses here. She is now strong enough to take part in a special photography session. The photographer puts a smile on the little girl's face for the first time in weeks.
Actually, the situation is disturbing because when we went to see those people at their route, it was heartbreaking because you can imagine yourself being in such condition without food or being too hungry, you can't even walk, just for hunger without any other thing being the problem. I think it's heartbreaking, I can say.
Most of the people living here originate from Bama, a town 70 kilometres from the state capital Maiduguri. Several villages in the region remain under the control of Boko Haram insurgents, making it almost impossible for people to grow crop to feed their families. So people have very little choice but to remain within the camp. Today there is a welcome distraction. The photographer and singer T.Y. Bello is here to take portraits of people. This new chapter in her photographic career is a humanitarian gesture.
When people talk about insurgency, the first thing I hear people say is, oh, let them not come here, let them not come here. And I find that the reason why people feel that way is because there's a disconnect. I know I was a little disconnected and I wanted to connect with people. And I feel the best way to connect with people is to make portraits of them. And I'm happy I was able to do that.
The images will become imprinted in the childhood memories of many here and are invaluable moments for mothers who have waited so long to return to their homes.
And finally, we hear from a Moroccan chef who started early with his passion. 11-year-old Omar is racking up top ratings for his online cookery post. It's a passion that comes with its challenges for him, but one that he's still savouring every moment of.
It's market day in Casablanca, Morocco. Omar and his mother are out shopping. This 10-year-old chef suffers from myopathy, a rare disease that attacks the muscles. To help stimulate his motor skills, Omar's parents have been taking him to cookery classes. Today he's cooking a tagine crumble with caramelized tomatoes.
Almost everyone knows how to make a crumble, so I thought, why not add some Moroccan spices?
Omar loves to experiment with his dishes, especially with the mixture of sweet and savory.
Now that we're done with the shopping, let's cook.
The young food lover has taken full advantage of social media. His video channel, Chef Omar, now has over 2,000 subscribers. Every week, his mother helps him film and publish video guides to his recipes.
I'm going to make a recipe that I really love, apple crumble. Okay, let's begin. First, we put the apples in. Assistant, please, can you help me?
The partnership of Omar and his mother has proved to be a winning one. He says that his determination continues to grow along with the number of his followers.
And now, let's add some orange blossoms. It helps me overcome my handicap.
How?
Because people send me nice messages. It helps me get over my disability.
And it gives you confidence?
Yeah. Mum, look how many new followers I have.
Thanks to the rigours of cooking, Omar has significantly improved his movement. It's all to the admiration of his biggest fan, his mother.
Oh, well, I'm hoping that following that report, Omar's following will also see a significant boost. So click on if you can. That is, though, we're going to have to leave it for now for Eye on Africa. Thanks very much for joining us, and do so again if you can.
Reporters.
Conservatives in the US have wasted no time in hitting back against the legalization of gay marriage. Arguing that religious freedom is under threat, some southern states have launched a legislative offensive. In Mississippi, homosexuals can now be denied medical care and health insurance. And in South Carolina, transsexuals must use public toilets that correspond to their gender at birth. But some American companies have contested laws that they say are contrary to their values and bad for business. The battle has just begun.
Reporters on France 24 and France24.com.